This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
Okay, so this is what happened on the last Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels, eh?
Excuse me? But, Missa thinking it was me last time.
Hey, take off.
How?
Hi, this is Mike McDonald, co-host of the Sandcrawler podcast, and you're listening to Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels with Dennis, Taxus, and Jay.
From Rebels on Disney XD to Rogue One, and from the pages of Marvel Star Wars comics to the saga films themselves, Star Wars has told the story of the heroes of the rebellion and the fight against the Empire. With the final season of Rebels approaching, we decided to discuss our top 10 Rebels. Here to help us with our lists is the Sandcrawler's Mike McDonald. That brings us back to Taxus. Who do you got next?
Oh, me? I'd go for my number 4 next on the list. Actually, I guess this would be number 3, but Jack Tono Porkins.
Aha.
You know what this showed me is that big guys can be pilots too.
Do you know in the original Marvel comic when he dies over the Death Star, Big says, "Farewell, Piggy, you'll be missed."
Oh no,
that is true. He calls him Piggy.
Oh, who's Mama's little piggy?
My Piggy! I loved you, Piggy! I loved you!
Happy Halloween, Scoundrels. Thanks for joining us for the holiday festivities. Here's what we have in store for this week's show.
Don't know, don't care.
Don't know, don't care you. You little jerk. Kids don't know nothing no more. Okay, what about this?
My Constable Silvio.
Exactly. Go on, kiddo. Take it. Oh, you want it, don't you, Georgie? Oh, of course you do. And there's Starships and Sabers and all sorts of scoundrels down here. And balloons, too. All colors.
Do they float?
Oh, yes. They float, Georgie. They float. And when you're down here...
Georgie, get away from that sewer.
Ow, Mom, ow.
Who are you talking to? Oh, I see.
Hiya, lady. I was just leaving.
You stupid clowns. We're just sick and tired of you weirdos lurking around schools and playgrounds. Out here.
Wait,
come
out here.
Kylo, 1 each for you and your troopers.
You know I can take whatever I want.
No, you have a lot of stormtroopers here, and we might have more trick-or-treaters later. 1 each, please.
No.
Whoa, watch out.
Pumpkins are flying everywhere.
Oh, I think I got some pulp in my eye.
That happened to me once.
Last Halloween, Darth Taxus and I reviewed Death Troopers, the Star Wars horror novel by Joe Schreiber. This year, we deemed it only fitting to review Schreiber's prequel Death Troopers, Red Harvest, now that Jay has joined us as a co-host.
Hey, what are you doing?
My favourite House and Yard network show, Tiny Imperial Walker Hunters, is on.
Well, get the remote from her. I can't move things. Who do you think I am, Patrick Swayze? Okay, we'll put it to a vote. All in favor of watching Hutball? Good. All opposed? Sorry, kid. It's 2-1.
I changed time.
Leia, what are you doing here? Did Kylo kill you too?
No, I slipped on a mailing room fruit wheel after the closing credits.
Yeah, didn't you see the movie?
No one has yet.
This is pretty much a pure horror novel.
I mean, it has some plot twists to it, but nothing really major.
It's go time.
We aren't a myth or a legend. Well, Taxus might be, but we are back for another show. Here is what is coming up. As the release date of The Last Jedi looms nearer, more trailers and TV spots make their debut. We'll discuss some recent trailers and more in this week's news. Our resident fashion and lifestyle guru has product announcements for us in Jay's latest That's So Wizard segment. Many stories have been told of Luke Skywalker, The Last Jedi. Some are accepted as canon, while others have slipped into legendary status. Ryder Waldron from the Idiots Array podcast joins us to recount a few of Luke Skywalker stories. Finally, we have some listener feedback and Silence Fools. Okay, Scoundrels, let's get to it. This is episode 41 of Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels. So, yeah, I was really surprised when that Last Jedi spot showed up during the World Series.
Oh, I know. Who was expecting that, right?
Yeah, especially since they just released that whole international trailer the day before.
Yeah, I was seeing a bunch of stuff on Twitter about that. A lot of buzz going on.
Mm-hmm. And then, so I've been reading the new Luke Skywalker book all week in preparation for this show. You had a chance to get into that yet?
No, I'm so jealous. Are you liking it?
It's average, probably middle of the pack for the new canon novels, I guess.
Yeah, I'm still doing a certain point of view and actually listening to it on audiobook, and I'm loving it. So much fun.
Yeah, I had a good time with that one. I knocked that out pretty quickly with my train rides to and from work.
Yeah, those audiobooks really do come in handy. Hey, doesn't Taxus usually kick things off by now?
Yeah, usually.
Where is he anyway?
No clue. Oh, wait, here he comes.
Sorry I'm late. Woo-hoo. This podcast is too big to walk anywhere. Imagine how hard it would be for a postal worker.
Postal worker. When would you need to use the post office for the show?
You know, if I have to mail it in.
Isn't that what you're doing now?
Yes, it is. Hello again, Scoundrels. Welcome back to the podcast that prides itself in just barely making the grade. I'm your Gen X slacker turned adult slacker of the dark side, Darth Taxus, coming to you from the nap room of my flagship, the Assessor Collector. And with me, as always, are my co-hosts who marvel at how I put the pro in procrastination, Dennis, the Phantom Menace Keithley, and Jay, the Hut Jayer Krebs. Dennis and Jay.
Hey, Dennis. Hey, Taxus. It's only 41 days until The Last Jedi at this point while we're recording, so can't put that one off. No procrastination there.
Yeah, I have this real nervous habit of constantly checking to make sure I have my tickets where I can find them for that. So I am pretty excited. Well, we have a really jam-packed show today, and I, for one, am really excited. Taxus?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing?
Got a couple of deadlines and just figured to cram in some last minute work while we're doing the show.
It's distracting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll just put it on silent mode.
Ooh, that's better.
Barely. Well, let's get to the news. Just when it was beginning to look like this week wasn't going to offer much in the way of news, a few stories popped up. So, Taxus, get us started with this week's news.
All right, Dennis. The international trailer for The Last Jedi has been released. However, if you haven't yet seen it, you don't need to rush to YouTube to catch it. This trailer features nearly all the same scenes and clips from the official trailer released in October. The main differences include some additional dialogue from Rey, a new order to some of the clips, and appearances of a certain gold-plated protocol droid. And, I know that's kind of a mystery, but I think it might be R2-D2.
Yeah, okay. Well...
No, droids all look alike to me.
Yeah,
well, R2's not a protocol droid, dude.
Yeah. You might need to hand in your fan card there. But, hey, you know what? Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot new with this, but the trailer release, the international trailer release, there's just like all those steps that gets us closer and closer to the release of The Last Jedi. So just makes it feel more real. But yeah, I can't remember what the difference between the international trailer was for The Force Awakens compared to the regular trailer. I think most of it was the exact same thing. So I guess I wasn't too surprised to see largely the same footage.
Yeah, I want to say the shocking moment from the difference between domestic and international was with Rogue One. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those had a bigger difference to them. That's for certain. But shoot, so much of, as we discussed before, The Force Awakens had things in their trailers that didn't show up in the movie, but Rogue One really had a lot of stuff that showed up in the trailer.
Oh, yeah.
So,
well, I'm getting excited because you're right. It's getting so close, And it's weird because it's sort of like a couple months ago, we're speaking of this whole clinically, like, the Last Jedi and all that. Now it's starting to get a little, I don't know, emotional to me,
Getting real.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I'm planning out that day now. So got my tickets and ready to go. All right,
from
Jay?
being hypothetical to real. Yes. Speaking of the international trailer, although the international trailer for The Last Jedi didn't really offer much in the way of new material, for Star Wars fans, a new TV spot for the upcoming movie debuted during the World Series. Congratulations, Astros, which did, entitled Awake. And skip ahead a couple minutes if you don't want to hear any of these details. Spoiler alert.
I'll let you know when you've gotten ahead a couple of minutes, listeners.
Okay. The new spot features Luke entering the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon, a new exterior shot of the freighter, new dialogue from Snoke, along with a brief glimpse of the Supreme Leader, new footage of the Falcon flying, presumably on Crate, and a new shot of Rey with the Skywalker lightsaber. Lots of stuff there.
Yeah,
that's actually quite a bit.
Yeah, the moment that Luke walks into the cockpit of the Falcon, I got goosebumps very similar to the ones I got when Han Solo and Chewbacca showed up during the teaser they played during Celebration Anaheim a couple years ago. I wanted to jump off the couch. I was so excited. I'm ready to go now.
Now, did you see the lights all turn on when he walked in there? Like, he didn't touch a button or anything.
No, he did.
He did?
I've been seeing a lot of discussion about that. And a lot of people saying, is the Falcon reacting to him? Is he using the Force? It looks like he's reaching... I watched this earlier today. He's reaching to a panel behind that chair in the back. And to me, it looks like he reached over there and touched something that turned on the interior of the Falcon. But I could be wrong.
Well, because I thought it might have been an otherworldly entity firing up the Falcon when he walked on there. But now, Dennis, after you said that, I think an otherworldly entity entered his body and made him turn him on.
Sure, why not?
Sort of like
Jay.
Maybe
what was your favorite part?
I don't know.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go with you on that one. Just seeing Luke in the Millennium Falcon, the Falcon is home. Just like Han said, Chewie, we're home, and it's kind of been the central point for so many things. And in The Force Awakens with Rey taking the Millennium Falcon as well, it's a symbol. I mean, it's an iconic symbol. So
yeah, wow, good point. It's almost like a lightsaber.
It is in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Well, one of the more iconic things about Star Wars. Taxus, what was your favorite part?
I'd have to say Luke walking on there. I mean, that was the coolest part because, a lot of the footage was similar, from the other one.
So we're unanimous in that. I guess I'll throw out my second favorite part then as well, which was the Falcon bursting through the surface of Crate and flying into the air. I cannot wait to see this Falcon chase. The Falcon pursuit by the TIE fighters was probably my favorite part of The Force Awakens. And this whole flying through whatever... I don't have any spoiler details here. This is just my observation from the trailers. But the footage of it flying in these caverns, apparently on Crate, and then bursting up through the surface... I can't wait to see this. That just looks like such an incredible scene. I don't know if it's just Chewbacca and the Porg, or if there's anyone else on that ship helping them out. But this has some real potential to be one of the best flight scenes we've had yet in Star Wars.
It's interesting because that's one of the coolest things about it. It's almost like in Empire Strikes Back, we had the Falcon going through all those asteroids, and everybody's like, "Whoa, that was cool." Then in Return of the Jedi, they, take it to the extreme, and the Falcon's flying through the infrastructure of the Death Star. Now, with The Force Awakens, we had that part where the Falcon's flying through, the wreckage. It seems to be a consistent theme of, hey, this is awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna go. I don't have spoilers either, Dennis, but something's telling me that this is maybe a mining world, and these are either abandoned mines or active mines, and that's why, you know, there's rich people there as well, because they're the people who hold interest in the mines, maybe. I don't know.
Jay, I know you've read Leia, Princess of Alderaan. Taxus, did you get a chance to read that yet?
It's on my list.
It's on your list? Well, I mean, no big deal. Crate is in that book. And yeah, the rebellion has a base there. I can't remember what else they told us about Crate in that book, but that's kind of the largest source of information we have about that planet at the moment. Do you remember, Jay?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, basically, you know, Leia had gone there for one of, not to be, you know, any spoilerific kind of things here. So she had gone there for something, let's just put it that way. And so we get a very brief glimpse, but I think a lot of it is just setting it up as a world of interest, because it is going to be in The Last Jedi. So I think for, you know, this being a novel that was released obviously ahead of time, that it's just sort of setting a stage more so than anything else.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what other details they told us there. You know, the other thing that was of note was that we get this glimpse of Supreme Leader Snoke. I don't know if that's his main audience chamber, throne room, or wherever he was. Oh, it looks
very clinical, doesn't it?
Yeah, and he's got all of those Praetorian guards lining the perimeter of the room. It was interesting because that's not what I envisioned that type of room to look like. I was expecting just, I don't know, something different. What did you all think?
Like dark, sort of like the throne room or something.
I think because like these giant red walls, that he had in there. I don't know. That just seemed. I expected something a little bit more utilitarian. Something you know, like monitors on the walls, machinery. I don't know.
Well, that's interesting because even in The Force Awakens, when they go to have the holo conference with him, the room they do it in looks really dark, you know, and what you would expect, right?
Right. What about you, Jay? What do you think?
Well, you know, the only thing that I'm thinking of is, you know, of course, my mind keeps going back to, all right, well, what role is Snoke playing in all of this? So, you know, my feeling is that he's maybe someone who dabbles in this and that and the other. And so maybe he's got many chambers where he experiments and does different things. And, you know, this may be a many chambered area where he runs his show. And this is just one of those areas.
Yeah. I guess the other thing that surprised me about that is if you think back to the various scenes that featured Palpatine or the Emperor, you know, in his office when he was the Supreme Chancellor, you know, he was in a windowed area overlooking Coruscant. Or in Revenge of the Sith, he was, you know, shackled in that chair overlooking the battle of Coruscant. In Return of the Jedi, he's sitting in his throne overlooking the Battle of Endor. So I just kind of, I guess, have this, I know he's not Palpatine, but this imagery of that's where the leader's supposed to be, someplace in a chair overlooking his domain, overlooking the battle, overlooking space. So again, the red walls just kind of were a surprise to me there.
And that's what you get with Kylo Ren in the opening shot, kind of.
Overlooking the factory, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, from the original trailer. Okay. Well, in our last news story, Seth Green is joining the cast of Rebels.
Well,
in fact, if you've caught this week's episode of Rebels, you've already heard his voice as Trandoshan Captain Sivo. Of course, this isn't Seth Green's first appearance in Star Wars animation. He previously voiced the droid Todo 360 in The Clone Wars. So, well, that's a good bit of news. Glad he's a fun actor to have associated with Star Wars, so it was good to see him come back.
Yeah. So is there any sort of like code name in Captain Sivo, or like, I mean, Todo 360, that's obviously a gag, right?
Sure.
I mean, total, you know, like Spanish and everything. Total. Right. So do you all see anything in Captain Sivo?
No, I haven't really thought about it.
It sounds like Sibo, the Rhodian that they met in season 1, or Greedo. I don't know. Those are Rhodians, but I don't know. It just sounded very much like a Star Wars name to me.
Yeah, that might be what it is. I just didn't know if anything stuck out to anybody. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay. That will do it for this week's news. For more up-to-date stories, check out sites such as RetroZap, Coffee with Kenobi, Jedi News, TheForce.net, and Fantha Tracks.
This is so wizard.
You feeling me, Huntress Wizard? Oh, I was just stepping to you, girl, with my intellectual wizard politics.
I am an enchanter.
Wizards only, fools. Wizards rule.
There are some who call me Tim.
Greetings, Tim the Enchanter.
Nope, wizards only. Wizards only, fools.
Welcome back to another edition of That's So Wizard. This segment is a monthly rundown of Star Wars fashion and product news from all corners of the galaxy. This focus is not just for the female persuasion. I've scoured the hyperspace lanes to find something for all walks of life. So sit back, grab your wallets, and get your add to cart fingers ready to go. First up, there are a few new fun clothing products expected from Her Universe. Ashley Eckstein, founder of Her Universe, has teased on Instagram that there will be a Porg circle skirt with pockets and a lightweight knit sweater type Porg blouse.
Oh, yes.
Both pieces look like a darker blue or turquoise, and the knit blouse features a white or possibly cream, it's hard to tell from the picture, rounded peasant type collar with the Porg character embroidered on each side, and the same color detail down the button front and along the edge hems of the short sleeves. And the skirt looks to be either embroidered with a darker shade of the Porg character repeated throughout the fabric, or even possibly flocked, so kind of like a velveteen sort of material.
It's funny because Porgs are probably in flux.
Exactly. And you know, they have kind of like the, you know, fuzzy flocking, I guess, to their yes. And as far as price and that type of thing, and other details, I would guess from the look of the skirt, it's probably lined. A lot of her skirts kind of follow the same sort of construction details. No date for availability has been noted as of yet, just available soon. And if the past pricing of these type of products hold true, I'm guessing the skirt will be around $60 to $80 when it hits the internet, and the sweater blouse will be around $40 to $50.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's a really cute looking little outfit. It's a different color. It's a much darker color. It's that blue, which I'm thinking is more the color of the Octo, you know, waters, possibly. So,
I got a question. So, like, so the line skirt stuff. I am a man. Explain to me, like, why the line skirt would be better or not. I mean, is it seasonal? Is this specifically for like autumn or something?
Well, line skirts allow the wearer a little bit of extra coverage, I guess you could say. So depending upon what the material is made out of, it just gives a little bit more opaqueness to the overall look and a little more fullness. But the big thing is the pockets. Pockets in a skirt are a godsend, let me just tell you. And there's been, you know, a lot of things that have come down the line that don't have pockets in them, and you'd be amazed. Guys take pockets for granted sometimes.
Yeah, we do.
And, you know, and I know with a lot of the clothes that I have to wear to school, I have my school classroom keys and that type of thing. So I'm always looking for somewhere to put them. And I don't always have a place. Okay. So if I'm wearing a skirt, sometimes I don't have pockets, and this one does. So that's kind of cool.
So what about the price? Do you feel like the price is somewhat reasonable for something like this?
You know, it's one of those kind of things that you get what you pay for. You know what I mean? The Her Universe line has never disappointed in terms of quality. And so, you know, from that aspect, you're going to pay a little bit more. Yeah. Personally, I think $80 for a skirt is a little high. There's been some other ones that I've had my eye on as well over the past couple of years. With the Hoth skirt was one of them that she had released. And it's just, it's hard to drop that kind of money on one piece. If it was an entire outfit, might be a little bit different. But again, you know, you're looking at the versatility, you're looking at the overall wear life, and of course the uniqueness of it. So you're not going to find this anywhere else. So if you're looking to spend a little extra money, it's, you know, for some people, it's definitely worth it.
And so something like this is going to be in maybe Hot Topic, right?
I don't think it will, actually.
Oh.
It's not really, maybe, but I'm guessing probably not.
Because Hot Topic has those holiday dollars a lot of times. So,
yes.
you could use that for something like this to try to offset the cost a little bit.
Right. I would be a little surprised if this showed up at Hot Topic just from the look of it.
You can tell I live in a household of women, right?
Yes, I can. Definitely. But Hot Topic has a little bit of a different genre feel to it with some of the clothing that they have. And yes, there's some crossover between the Her Universe website itself and Hot Topic. And of course, Her Universe can also be found at Kohl's, some of the pieces. And most of the time it's more the Marvel workout clothes that she has at Kohl's. But yeah, so we'll see. I don't think we'll see it at Hot Topic, though. And the other item, which I'm very excited for, is the quilted Leia Hoth vest, which was teased at San Diego Comic-Con in July. And I know I spoke of this one before on the show, and the vest is off-white with a silver zipper pull. I can't tell what the design is on the pull, but I would guess possibly the Rebel Firebird symbol.
Yeah.
And the communicator that Leia wears on her left appears as an embroidered patch, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And I was actually in touch with Ashley personally about this item, and she is so great. I just DM'd her on Twitter, and it was just on my mind because here in Ohio, it's getting to be fall, and finally, and it's getting cool, and vest weather is back in, and I love vests. So I was like, gosh, when is this coming out? I saw it, in July. When is it coming out? And so I DM'd her, and she just said December. And then it was weird because a few days later, then she had put a picture on Instagram of herself wearing the vest. So I thought, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So anyways, I'm sure she's coordinating it with the release of other items, with premiere of The Last Jedi, which makes sense.
Yeah, the Hoth look is Leia's best look. So that's a great vest.
For sure.
I'm kind of thinking of that as a Christmas gift, in fact.
Yeah, for me.
Sure, Jay.
Okay, good. I'll DM you my address so you know where to send it.
Oh, okay. I already have it. I mean,
good. Okay.
Okay, next.
Then we're covered. All right.
That was creepy.
Yes.
All right. So how about some lifestyle type product here is the Samsung PowerBot Star Wars Edition robotic vacuum cleaner.
Ooh.
Woo! I know you would love this, Taxus.
I love
so it's similar,
vacuum cleaners.
That is very interesting. I'm not gonna lie. So this is similar to the Roomba, and the bot works on its own to clean your multi-surface floors while avoiding obstacles, and it creates a map of areas that is vacuumed. So it's a smart bot, and it creates a file for itself for next time. And it has an auto docking and recharging ability, which is kind of really cool.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know, right? So if you're familiar with Roomba, I mean, it's basically like a Roomba. And it can even be controlled remotely with Wi-Fi connectivity to your smartphone and either the Smart Home or Smart Things app, or even voice controlled with Amazon Alexa. It's almost getting scary how smart these little things are. So, but you can program your own cleaning time for automatic start times, and it features a reusable filter and a maximum runtime of 60 minutes. And you can choose from the Darth Vader or Stormtrooper model. And the purchase price is between $700 and $800. And I saw it. That's not that bad, really, for a good vacuum cleaner. But they have it at Best Buy and Home Depot, and Home Depot seemed to be the cheaper of the two.
Yeah. So. I mean, that's not that bad for something like that, but for maybe about $600 less and, some marital decisions, you can have your own children to push around a vacuum. I'm just saying.
A good vacuum, though.
You're so right, Dennis. I mean, vacuums are extremely underrated as a quality of life product. And after you get finished vacuuming at home, it's on the list of feeling like squared away about your life. You know what I mean?
It's oddly satisfying.
Yes. Yeah. And especially if you have a multi-surface one, because I have very weird surfaces in my home.
I can't imagine that
you would.
It's shag, but not carpet.
And yeah, okay.
Moving on.
Well, and these are cool too because if you've ever seen them work, they can actually sense stairs. So it'll go next to an area where there's a drop off, and then it realizes that there's a drop off, and then it'll back up.
Oh.
So it won't fall down the stairs unless you push it. Yeah.
I thought it was just if you were looking at it harshly.
Maybe. I don't know. But anyhow. But yeah, I mean, if I would definitely get something like this if I didn't already have something that I was really happy with. But I mean, some people are probably like, "Aw, but I would like that, but I already own a Roomba. I want my Star Wars fix." But you know what? If you own a Roomba, you can actually purchase Star Wars decal skins from a variety of retailers. So yeah, you can like make it look like Star Wars when it's really not, with stickers. So there's an accessory store called 24/7 Skins, and they have an R2-D2 skin accessory, and it's only $19.96.
That's a lot better.
Plus shipping and handling. Yeah, so you can turn your existing Roomba into an R2-D2, and you can have it for much, much less. But it's just one of those fun little things that, you know, Christmas is coming up here, the holidays are coming up. So for the person, I guess, that has everything, and if you have a lot of disposable income, you can get them a Samsung PowerBot. So there you go. All right. So it was kind of a short one this time around. We're definitely going to be having more next time, and a lot of holiday things coming out. And of course, you know, with the December release of the Last Jedi, there's going to be a lot more stuff being released. And I also will have some updates too on some things that you heard about around Force Friday that are finally going to be available in stores. So last but not least, it is time for the Wizard Award. And this is the honorific that I choose to give to a product, shop, or person that I feel deserves a bit of attention. So this month, I'm giving some love to Mike Pascal, owner and operator of 800 Pound Productions. He is a very talented artist, this Mike, and he has produced a very cool and creative set of Star Wars enamel pins among his other many talents. And he's incorporated some really fun aspects into the packaging as well. One of the more recent ones, I am actually the proud owner of one of his Porg enamel pins. And this measures about 2 inches tall. And what's really cool about them is the carding on the pins. I haven't even taken my pin out of the packaging yet because they look like the cards on the old action figures, and they have their own little parody of names. So he's used all of these things with the word Porg. So for example, I have Natalie Porgman, which I did not choose. It was just kind of random. He sends you whatever. So it's luck of the draw. There's also Princess Leia Porgana.
It was bound to happen. Yes. Yes.
Porg Dameron.
Yeah, I'm gonna applaud that. Yes.
Porgal the Lesser.
This is just getting so great.
And going with our theme this evening, Luke Skywalker.
Slow cap.
And there's also a Porga Fett.
Oh my
black
gosh.
and white variant pin as well.
Is he wearing a helmet or?
He's not.
Oh.
No, just black and white.
Okay.
Yep, just black and white. And there's also a Kyber Fox enamel pin that he just recently released. It's beautiful. And he calls it a BB-H8R.
BB Hater.
I think it's BB Hater. Yeah, enamel pin. So that's the new one.
I'd rather be a BB player than a BB hater.
Ah, there you go. Nicely done. So in addition to his pin products, Mike also sells patches and original prints. He also recently collaborated on an amazing Star Wars Rebels poster interpretation. Came out right before the season premiere, and it was with several independent artists such as former Wizard Award recipient and interviewee Courtney Morlock,
She's
her
so
good
awesome.
friend. She is awesome, as well as other great artists, including Olivia Moy, Darren Tibbles, and I hope I say this right.
You want me to try?
Go ahead. Okay, you're done. No, you're done. You're done. Okay.
Xenia Zeletova.
I beat you.
Jinx.
So it's a great name, but there were several others, and I highly suggest you check that one out. And there was actually an interview piece that was done by Jonna Marie Macias as well with each of the artists. So if you want to check that out on her website, The Wookiee Gunner, she's got some great insight to that as well. So you can visit Mike's shop at www.800lbprods.com. And he's great on social media too. So yay, Mike.
Have you seen his artwork at all, Dennis?
I have. Oh, I was gonna say I have. I've seen all of it.
That's okay.
Yes, I have seen some of the artwork.
Yeah, it's really amazing stuff. And so I can imagine. I mean, I don't blame you, Jay, for not taking those pins off the backs, because they're probably really awesome. And I'm just saying, Mike, if you ever wanted to draw a picture of us, you can do that.
We'll have to get him on that. We'll have to let him know that he won this award too, so that he can
most definitely
all reveling in it.
Yeah.
Good deal. So that's what I have for this month. So hopefully everyone gained some great insight, has some new products to look forward to, and may the suck be with you. Vacuum. Sucking.
This is Ryder Waldron from Idiot's Array and Coffee with Kenobi blogger, and you are listening to Jay, Dennis, and Taxus on Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels.
Last week, Ken Liu's Legends of Luke Skywalker hit bookstores. The young adult novel features a number of stories about the galaxy's Last Jedi that might be true or just might be myths. With Liu's novel as inspiration, we decided to revisit some Luke Skywalker stories, some that are canon and others that have become legends. See what I did there? We also decided to invite Ryder Waldron, co-host of the Idiot's Array, to join us for this segment. Ryder, welcome to Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. I am really excited to be on with you guys tonight. I love your show, and I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, thanks, Ryder. Yeah, for coming on. We meet again for the second time.
For the second time.
For the first time, the second time.
I'm excited to be a scoundrel tonight. I'm usually just an idiot, so now I'm a scoundrel. This is awesome.
Oh my gosh, you're really going for the trifecta now. What's the third one?
All right. Well, this is how this works. Each one of us is going to tell a brief story about Luke Skywalker. Once the story is done, the rest of us will attempt to guess whether the story is canon or legends. There is no winner or loser to this segment. It's all just in fun. So I'm going to go first.
Well, we know I'd win. I'm just saying.
Highly doubtful. But here we go. While on Tatooine, Luke Skywalker visited the residence of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and while there, he found a journal prepared by Kenobi and used it to help construct a brand new lightsaber. He was then attacked by a swoop game, but with the assistance of a scoundrel, he managed to fight them off. He then intercepted a message from a Bothan spy master intended for Princess Leia. After reviewing the message, Luke met with the Bothan spy masters and assisted a team of Bothan pilots in intercepting a freighter carrying top-secret Imperial data. Despite suffering heavy losses, their mission was successful. The data later turned out to be the plans for the second Death Star. So, now I ask the three of you, was this a canon story or a legend story? And we'll go around first, and then you all can guess what the story came from. Ryder, you're our guest. What do you think?
I'm guessing this is legends, but there's some details in there that makes me think it's canon. But I'm gonna say legends on this one.
All right, legends for Ryder. Jay,
I'm kind of with Ryder on this one too. I have heard some things about possibly this whole Kenobi thing, but I'm gonna vote for legends.
And Taxus,
I'm gonna go with legends plus $1. The whole there's just enough there. There's just enough truth to that legend that makes it feel like it's a canon story. But I want to say the whole second Death Star plan thing, that's what's making me think it's legends, with the Bothan spies too.
All right, well done, class. This is in fact a legend. Now, can anyone identify where this story came from?
Oh, I'm stumped. I am not good with my legends novels. That's a tough one.
I'm guessing it's probably a comic book.
Star Wars?
Well done. This is actually from Shadows of the Empire, which was which was both a video game, a book, a comic, action figures, and the whole 9 yards. And this came out in the mid 90s during the dark times when Lucasfilm was essentially trying to create a Star Wars event without having a movie. I chose that story for that reason, because as Taxus pointed out, there is a bit of truth and legends in the current comics. We know that Kenobi left behind a journal for Luke, as we find out in the Star Wars series. And although he hasn't come across any instructions for building a lightsaber, it has kind of given Luke some guidance along the way. Did any of you ever play the game or read that book?
No.
I never did. I've heard some stories about that book being, kind of out there with some of the story in it, but I've never read it or played the game. But I remember when it came out.
I think I watched people play it.
Yeah,
I want to say.
Yeah, I remember I had college friends that were playing the game, and I'd watched them, and I've read the book a couple of times, and there are definitely parts that did not age particularly well. But back in the day, it was a fun bit of connective tissue between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Well, it's all we had at the time to get those movies together.
It was the dark times, and we were excited to get it. You know what?
Right.
We got our Star Wars piecemealed out to us years in between, and we loved it that way, right, Dennis?
Absolutely.
That was also the time that they had those really muscly action figures, isn't it? Is that about the right time?
Yeah, steroid Star Wars.
Yeah.
Got the power of the Force.
Yeah, power of the Force.
Yeah, power of the roids.
Power of the roids?
Yeah.
Is that what you just said? Not droids, but roids.
Some very buff-looking characters that came out as action figures at the time. Think a cross between Luke Skywalker and He-Man, and you're partway there.
So you were talking steroids, not hemorrhoids.
Definitely not.
No,
Gotcha.
not yet. But the night's still young, Jay. So that reminds me, though, Ryder, at Celebration Anaheim, one of the best cosplays I saw was Power of the Force Luke and Leia. And they were two people who just were like just in great shape. I mean, like slightly better than me. And they were, but they were all like buff and everything. And I was like, Power of the Force Luke? He's like, you got it. Yeah.
I didn't see that, but that's an original costume. I like that. I didn't see it. I didn't see those guys.
His chest was so rippled.
All right. Well, I think we've lost Taxus to Dreamland here. So, Ryder, you're up. What story do you have for us?
Okay. See if you guys can get this. A hero, a scoundrel, and a princess have no time to celebrate a recent victory as a new threat arises. As our hero embarks on his next mission, the smuggler and princess meet with some warriors, hoping they will help them in their battle. The hero is pursued by an unexpected force. In the meantime, the princess and smuggler have their surprise attack thwarted. What do you guys think about that?
Jay, are you first?
Do you want to go first, Jay?
Okay, I'm thinking this is got to be canon. And come back to me.
Okay.
I got to think a little bit.
I want to say canon, but it sounds too similar to maybe something from the Thrawn trilogy. If I'm pulling that out of my head, I'm not sure. So I'm just going to go ahead and say Legends. I'm locking that in.
Okay, Dennis.
Wow, this is a difficult one, and I am thinking this is canon. And if you want to go around and get votes on what the story is, you can. But I think I have an idea of what this might be.
Okay, Jay, what did you eventually decide?
I'm thinking this is maybe from Empire Strikes Back, possibly, somehow, or related to it.
Okay, so you're going canon?
Okay, yes.
Okay. All right. Do you guys want to guess what the story is, or do you want me to just reveal?
Taxus, do you want to guess? Because I have a guess here.
I think I pretty much said my guess. I guess.
Okay.
So
well, I was thinking this was the end of Return of the Jedi when Luke goes off to the Death Star and Leia and Han go to Endor and end up recruiting the Ewoks.
Okay, now that's a good guess. Jay, do you have a guess, or do you want me to?
But he said first major battle, though. He said a major battle, right? You said a
recent victory. They have no time to celebrate a recent victory.
Right. So that's why I'm thinking it was Empire Strikes Back, because the recent victory would have been the destruction of the first Death Star, and now they're on Hoth.
Okay, now that's really close too. I like that. It actually is from The Empire Strikes Out, the Lego cartoon. Which took place right after the first Death Star was destroyed. Luke goes off on some mission to, I can't remember exactly what he's looking for. Han and Leia go to recruit the Gungans to help them fight the Empire. And Luke ends up getting pursued by some female admirers. I believe.
Mara Jade.
I hope I have all those details right, but I guess that counts as legends. I don't know. Maybe it's canon. I don't know.
I've only ever kind of watched that out of the corner of my eye while doing something else while my kids have had that on TV. But yes, that story does sound familiar now. So.
I feel like I kind of cheaped out on that one, but
no, that's good.
No, you definitely ramped up the difficulty level.
Yeah,
that's for certain.
That's a deep cut, man. And I'd rather be lucky than good. So thanks.
That's right. You're welcome.
All right.
Winner.
All right, Jay, what do you have?
Okay, I'm going to read for you. Are you ready? Here we go.
We're ready.
Don't you like the eggs I made? Look, Dad, droids. I don't want a sister. Where do babies come from? Why? What's wrong? Greedo pushed me. Well, did you push him first? Hey, aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper? You have learned much, young one. Thanks, Dad. This isn't the toy you're looking for. Yes, it is. It's Jar Jar.
What?
That's my contribution.
Okay, that was very creative. Ryder, what do you think?
Okay, I would say this counts as legends. I'm just going to say legends for right now. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's legends as well. Taxus?
Although I feel like there's always truth to legend, I feel this is more legend than truth.
This is a tough one. What do you think, Dennis?
I think I know what it is. I think I know exactly where it's from.
This seems like that the book, I can't remember what the author's name is, Brown by a chance, maybe, that did the Darth Vader and Son type stuff.
Boom.
That's my guess.
Yep.
You got it. It is. Nice. Exactly. Nice. It's Darth Vader and Son by Jeffrey Brown. So that was just a little excerpt there for you.
Well, creatively read.
Books. Yeah, I love those.
Well, it was the Guns and Thanks Dad that sealed it for me.
I went way off the deep end on that one.
Well done. I like that one.
I like it.
Thanks.
All right, Taxus, what do you have?
Oh, mine's not as clever as any of those, but I'm just going to give it a shot here and come out swinging. This involves Luke, of course. A young entrepreneur looks to reinvigorate a brand that is all but dead. He seeks to negotiate for the services of a key employee in his efforts and visits a wealthy investor whom he offers collateral in the form of machinery and equipment that has well exceeded any depreciable life. Yet, the market value is still substantial. He fails to receive support from the capitalist, despite reminding him of his family's history in the business.
Oh, man.
That was so many big words. What the heck are you doing?
What are you doing here?
Yeah, CPA.
Wow.
Well, you really put this in a context that makes it far more difficult to interpret.
Oh, I think I know who this is. Okay. I got it. I think I got it. Should I say?
Well, what is your guess, Jay? Is this Legends or canon?
It's canon.
Ryder?
I'm going to say canon on this one.
Well, Jay seems so certain. I have some ideas, but I can't get any of them to quite fit into what Taxus has described. So I'm going to go ahead and go with canon. And I'm going to let Jay go ahead and reveal what this is, since she seems so certain about it.
Okay, I think this is Return of the Jedi. When Luke is standing before Jabba, and he offers the 2 droids for his payment, or his in good faith. He offers these 2 droids.
Now, see, the guess that I had rolling around in my mind was when Luke and Owen went to get the droids from the Jawas, but I couldn't quite get all the labels to work with all the characters in that scene.
Because I'm thinking the entrepreneur is Jabba, the businessman kind of thing. Okay. Okay, that's my guess.
Ryder, do you have anything different?
I was right in line with Jay. I thought the same scene when Luke offers up the droids.
Well, Taxus, lay it on us.
Well, actually, the young entrepreneur is Luke, but you're right. He goes to Jabba to negotiate for the services of a key employee who is Han by offering to exchange equipment in the form of droids.
You see, that was the key employee that was throwing me off, because I was having a hard time deciding if that fit for Han. But
that makes sense, because he hired him as to smuggle.
Yeah, I guess that's true. All right, so that makes sense.
Well, and Luke and their organization needed Han, so
true.
And the family or the brand they're looking to reinvigorate is the Jedi.
Nice.
Yep. So, although that could have also maybe worked for the end scene in Return of the Jedi with the Emperor.
I'm not sure that's correct.
Oh yeah.
Except that's more of a hostile takeover.
Well, let's move on to round 2 here. The next story that I have for you goes a little something like this. After the destruction of the Death Star, the Emperor made it a priority to learn the identity of the pilot that destroyed the superweapon. The Rebellion learned of this and made Luke's identity top secret. However, the Rebellion was also running dangerously low on operating funds, so Luke, Han, and Chewbacca and the droids head to Mulinist to attempt to access the secret accounts of the defunct intergalactic banking clan. While there, Luke participates in a pod racing event and wins the race. Unfortunately, his performance causes an Imperial assassin that infiltrated the rebellion to suspect he was the pilot responsible for the destruction of the Death Star. So, is this Legends or canon? Ryder?
I'm going to say Legends. There, when you were first reading that, some of it was leading me towards canon, but I'm going to go with Legends.
Okay, 1 vote for Legends. Jay?
I'm definitely going to go with Legends. I know Han had some experience with some racing himself, so perhaps this is brought into that, but I'm not exactly sure how, but I'm going to say Legends.
Okay, that's 2 votes for Legends. Taxus?
Yeah, the pod racing part's kind of throwing me off, because as you know, I am a fond connoisseur of all Star Wars canon material, including all the comics. That being said, I don't really remember Luke doing pod racing in any of the recent comics. So I'm going to say Legends.
Okay, you all are correct. This is another Legend. Now, for the bonus point, can any of you identify what the story is? And I'll be really impressed if you can.
I cannot.
Jay?
I got nothing.
Luke Skywalker.
Well, I am...
That's my final answer.
Yeah, okay. Well, sorry. This one I didn't really expect anyone to get, other than it might be a legend. But this is from the Scholastic series, Rebel Force. This was the Target.
Okay.
I did not actually read these books myself. I remember seeing one lying around and having skimmed through a little bit of it. But yeah, so apparently there was a series of 5 or 6 of these that were put out by Scholastic starting in about 2008 or so. And they featured our friendly rebels shortly after the Battle of Yavin taking on various missions. And Luke ended up having an assassin named X7 that was trying to track him down. And he followed them off to Mulinist. I was thinking if anything was going to throw you guys off, it was going to be Mulinist, and the Intergalactic Banking Clan might be a recent enough reference to the prequels that that might have thought swayed you all to the canon side a little bit. But yeah, this was a different story, and certainly one I had never heard of. But it's just, I think, a little too similar to Anakin with the pod racing for really to make sense as a canon story.
But wasn't there something recently with the intergalactic banking clan that was canon?
Well, in the Poe Dameron series,
that's it. That's right.
Laura Santeca shows up on Cato Nymodia, and they're in Lot Dodd's palace, and they go off to explore some of the vaults.
The Trade Federation. That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, it's the Trade Federation's there.
Okay.
Okay. Taxus, what do you have for us now?
All right. How about this one? Luke stumbles across a treasure trove of Jedi holocrons, all of which activate in his presence, imploring him to avenge them.
Okay. Jay, what are you going to guess?
Gosh, there's not much to go by there. I'm going to go canon.
I'm going to go with Legends on this one.
This one can go either way. There is a specific scene from canon that I am thinking of where Luke stumbles upon a treasure trove of holocrons, and I remember them activating. I don't remember the Jedi telling him to avenge him, though. So, because I can't think of a legend source that did something similar, I'm going to go ahead and go with canon.
Okay. Well, anybody want to name what they're thinking it's from?
Well, are we correct? Is it canon or is it a legend?
It is canon.
Okay.
Yes.
Jay, do you have a guess?
That's a tough one, pal. I'm just saying, Ryder.
It's a very tough one.
Yeah, it hurts to miss that one.
Shoot, I'm going to abstain from now. I'm going to cop out and hear what everybody else has to say.
Okay.
I have an idea, but I'm not sure. So go ahead.
Ryder?
I have no idea. I'm not sure. That's why I'm a guest tonight and not a permanent host on this show, because I'm just not smart enough.
No,
I'm not sure. I'm stumped. This is a tough one.
Okay, well then here's my guess. Is this when Luke went to Nar Shaddaa and got captured by Gracchus the Hutt?
Yes, indeed.
Wow. Ding, ding.
It's one of the scenes that really stands out to me from all the comics, is when all the Jedi holocrons are activating and they're all telling Luke, "This is the holocron of Master so and so," and yeah, I took a little poetic liberty with imploring him to avenge them, because in the end, the last panel shows one of the masters saying, "Please do not let our deaths be in vain." Which also Oppo Rancisis' holocron is activated there, which they do say, "Don't let our deaths be in vain." Which, you know, I don't know. I'm sure somebody's going to tell me I'm wrong with this, but that kind of makes me feel like Oppo's dead.
Come on, bring it on!
Yeah, the guys at Bruce and Blasters might have a problem with that one.
Yeah,
I mean,
not good.
No, well, you know, I mean, I just open my mind to the Force and things come to me. That's all I'm saying. But
yeah, this is another one of these moments where Luke is, it's a common theme, both between canon stories and legend stories, as we've kind of found out with the last two that we've shared, that Luke is trying to make his way as a Jedi with no real guidance. And so he's constantly stumbling upon would-be mentors or artifacts or journals or something that he tries to glean something about the Jedi from.
And that's
what makes something so difficult.
Yeah. It does. Well, and then later, of course, we have the unfortunate occurrence of everybody in the world using lightsabers, which kind of makes me feel icky still. But you know, I loved that scene.
You mean this story right here, where in his quest to learn more about the Jedi, Luke decides he wants to explore the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, which is still under the control of the Empire. Therefore, he heads to Nar Shaddaa in hopes of finding a smuggler that will sneak him into the Imperial capital. However, Luke's lightsaber makes him a target for thugs on the planet, and he finds himself captured by a Hutt gangster with a taste for Jedi artifacts. Forced to fight in an arena for the enjoyment of the criminal underworld, Luke receives lightsaber lessons from the Game Master. Eventually, Luke is forced to fight a ferocious monster, and just when all appears lost, Han Solo, Chewbacca, Princess Leia, and the droids arrive to rescue him. They escape just before the Empire can take over the arena and capture them all.
Yeah,
so I was thinking along the same lines as you.
Yeah, brevity is the soul of wit, Dennis.
I'm trying to paint a picture here.
No. I appreciate that. I just was thinking through. I was thinking through that whole story and just thought about that one scene in particular. And I actually pulled out the comic and looked at it and said, "Oh yeah, that was so powerful." But yeah. But good job, by the way.
Nice.
Yeah,
See, I was thinking
we think alike,
something.
Dennis.
Go ahead.
I was just saying we think alike.
Nobody can prevent
You do.
us.
That scares me like you would not believe.
As well it should.
What were you going to say, Jay?
Just that when I said I think I might know where this is from, I was thinking more along the lines of something that was more comic related that maybe I had never read that had something to do with Return of the Jedi. Because, we didn't know exactly what Luke was doing between, the time that Empire ended and when he showed up at Jabba's palace, because all of a sudden he was this almost seasoned Jedi. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, good point.
That's kind of where I was thinking maybe it would have been from, but I didn't have an absolute direction compass type thing to point to an exact source.
Right, and that's a good point. The two biggest areas, I don't want to say that, but the area between A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back, and then The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, they are so rich with opportunities for these stories where Luke is learning something about being a Jedi. And they were these nice big gaps of time that we have. Of course, after the Return of the Jedi, the stories are all something along the lines, especially in Legends anyway, we don't really have a lot of canon sources for this yet, about him rebuilding the Jedi Order and training new Jedi. Or mopping up the remains of the old Empire. So that's why if you're trying to stump someone on a canon versus legend story, you're best off going with something in that A New Hope to the original trilogy time period.
That's true. Yeah, because they kind of like play their hand basically with The Force Awakens. I'm just saying. I mean, we kind of know what happens when his efforts do anything with the Jedi Order. So yeah, it's a good point, Dennis.
All right. Well, this one's going to be probably a little bit obvious on which side of the scale it falls on, but here we go. Approximately 15 years after the destruction of the second Death Star, Luke Skywalker travels to a remote planet with another Jedi to investigate the rumored return of an Imperial leader long thought to have perished. However, the remote world is fraught with danger, and Luke and his companion must make their way into the enemy citadel through remote caves. To make matters worse, the way eventually becomes blocked by a cave-in in the caves, and the pair are eventually forced to carve their way through the mountain and into the enemy stronghold. There they discover a developing clone of the Imperial leader. Confronted with the moral quandary of killing an innocent clone, they leave him to be consumed by floodwaters that are overtaking the Citadel. So, all right, let's go around the horn. Ryder, is this a legend or a canon story?
I'm going legends on this one.
Okay. Jay?
Firmly legends.
And Taxus?
I think you're trying to throw me off, man. I think you're trying to trick us because you have strength in reading the book when we haven't.
Indeed, you are powerful.
Okay.
So I'm going to say this is canon.
All right. 2-1 in favor of legends. It is in fact a legend. And I'm not trying to be that tricky, Taxus. I'm really not. I figured after I just pointed out how the time period after Return of the Jedi is relatively unexplored, that might have been a hint. But for Jay and Ryder, can either one of you identify what the story is or what it's about?
No. Like I said, I don't know much about legends.
That's funny. That's the title of the book. It was called No.
No.
Good job, Ryder.
All right. So what I was thinking was this had to have been, and I don't know the name of the book or the story, but when Emperor Palpatine had created his own clone and Luke went to try to destroy it. Is that the story?
You fell into my trap.
I'm thinking of?
Right. That's not it. Because I know what you're talking about, Jay.
You're talking about that comic book series, which is Dark Empire, I believe.
Yes.
Oh.
And yes, I deliberately obscured that part. What I'm thinking of is the later duology by Timothy Zahn, in which Luke and Mara Jade travel to a planet controlled by the Chiss in order to get to the bottom of whether or not there is a clone of Thrawn being developed.
Oh, I read that book. I should have known that.
Yeah, this is Vision of the Future, or more specifically. And this is where Luke proposes to Mara at the end of the novel.
I love that book. How could I not? Because, of course, proposing to Mara, hello.
Well, I deliberately didn't name her by saying that.
Right.
Yeah,
otherwise it would have made it too easy.
That kind of reminds me of my first date with the Lady Taxus.
Does it?
Yes, it does.
Would she recall it the same way, I wonder?
No, because one of the rocks from the cave-in hit her in the head.
Stupid call.
Oh. Yeah, I get it.
Did you ever read this book, Ryder?
No. I've read a few Legends books, but that was not one of them.
Did you read the Heir to the Empire trilogy?
I read the first book, and I can't remember if I read the next two, because I read it and I thought, that's not quite what I was picturing would happen after Return of the Jedi. And I was kind of in that period. I think I was still in high school, and so I just thought, yeah, that's pretty good. And I've read a handful of them since, but now I've read pretty much everything since the new canon started. But the Legends, I'm just not really that well versed.
Have you read the recent Thrawn novel?
Yeah, I really like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that. I'm looking forward to the second one too. I thought it was really good.
Of course.
Yeah.
I predicted you would like that with a 99.8% certainty.
Thank you, Taxus.
I knew you being a dentist, you enjoyed complex works of art that would really explore the complex psyche of foreign. No, sorry, go ahead. I have nothing. I got to write all that out if I'm going to say something.
Okay, then. Taxus, do you have another one for us?
Why, I might. How about this? Luke finds a derelict ship in space and works with stormtroopers to uncover an ancient mystery.
What else?
Is that it?
I said ancient mystery. What y'all not hear?
I have an idea what this might be.
I knew you would. That's why I'm trying to be hardcore, because I knew Dennis would know what it is.
I'm going Legends on this one. I'm struggling, though, to think of where... That sounds familiar, but I'm struggling to picture it.
Jay, what do you think?
I got nothing.
Mulligan.
I'm going to go with Legends.
It is indeed canon in the Legends.
What?
It's Legends. Sorry. Indeed. Yay! So anybody want to venture a guess as to exactly what story it is?
Okay, so since it was so short, can you repeat it?
Sure. Luke finds a derelict ship in space and works with stormtroopers to uncover an ancient mystery.
I got nothing.
Does this have to do with the Yuzon Vong?
No, I couldn't stand the Yuzon Vong.
Oh, okay.
That's a hot space opinion. I'm sorry.
So this isn't Outbound Flight, it's the sequel, right? The with Mara?
Yes, you're right, Dennis. It is the sequel.
That's what, Survivor's Quest, or is that what it's called?
That's right.
Okay.
They uncover the outbound flight, and they kind of uncover the whole mystery behind what the purpose was with Joris.
Right.
I can never say his name.
Thrawn, this was the reason that Thrawn got exiled.
Yes.
In the first place in the old Legends universe. So,
which was a great story.
Yeah, the Outbound Flight project was a Republic era story of a massive colony starship that was being sent to the unknown regions to set up a colony on a world. It gets waylaid and attacked and semi-destroyed by the Chiss and other things. I can't remember the exact details.
They were like some weird space pirates. They were like, yeah, it was like Waterworld in space.
Then decades later, Luke and Mara end up with some stormtroopers from the, what's it called now? The Imperial Remnant or whatever the Empire was at the time.
Yeah, and they were alien.
The ship and they were investigating what happened to the Outbound Flight project. It's been a long time since I read that.
Okay.
Yeah, the reason that kind of has a special place in my heart is because the Lady Taxus knew I was in a dark period with Star Wars, and she found the book and said, I think you would like to read this. And you know what? I did like to read it. I liked to read it very well. And so it kind of started me on my whole path back into, the fold of fandom. So,
Ryder, what era of Star Wars do you like your fiction from the most?
Well, I guess I would say the original trilogy, but I would like more around the prequel era. I would like to read some more about that. I mean, we're getting a lot of stuff now that is A New Hope time and in the original trilogy time, but I'd like some even before the Phantom Menace, even go back 100 years, 1,000 years, something like that, and let's see where the Force came from, or where the Jedi Sith originated actually into canon, because there's been some books about that, I think, and I haven't read a ton of them, but I would like to see stuff like that. I really like the prequel era stuff, and there's that 10 years between the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones that Obi-Wan and Anakin could go on tons of adventures. So could all the other Jedi.
Yeah.
I know when I was in dental school, there was a novel, I think it was called Rogue Planet, I want to say, and it was about Obi-Wan and Anakin, and I read that. I really liked that, and I thought that was a good story, and I think they could do more in that era that would really be interesting to me.
Man, that's a good point, because I was just thinking today, we're really kind of cramming a whole bunch of stuff into this real tight time period, aren't we?
Yeah.
And, hey, let's open it up a little bit. Let's start getting, we've brought new fans into the fandom, right? With all this stuff. Let's start piquing their interest with maybe some Old Republic stuff. Maybe the Jedi Sith War of 1,000 years before that we know is now canon, Let's do that. I'm with you, Ryder.
Yeah, well, I'm interested to see if we'll start getting a lot. I'm not sure that they're going to go back to that time period, because people seem to be so drawn to these eras that are tied to the movies right now. And I can't help but wondering if within the next year or so, now that we're maybe getting some answers to some of the mysteries from The Force Awakens, that we're going to start seeing more content between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens.
I hope so.
Yeah, now that with The Last Jedi coming out.
Yeah.
All right, well, I've got a couple more of these stories here. I'm going to go with one. I'm going to ratchet up the difficulty level to about a 9.
Bring it on. Yes.
There is a chance that someone here might get this one, but let's see. Did you know that Luke Skywalker is responsible for the rebellion's decision to establish a base on Hoth? While escaping from an Imperial blockade around Yavin 4, Luke, accompanied by C-3PO, made a daring escape. They hid their ship in the vapor trail of a cometary body. When they emerged, the comet had dragged them to the Hoth system in the Noad sector. Luke was saved from freezing to death by a young woman who was hiding from the Empire on Hoth with her father. However, after a series of unfortunate events, the young woman was shot accidentally by her dad when he feared that Luke would reveal their existence to the Empire. In response, Luke cut him down with his lightsaber. Very un-Jedi-like. After Luke transmitted his location to Han Solo, he was rescued. Luke then recommended Hoth as a location for a new Rebel base.
And a good place to bury bodies.
Yeah. All right. So what does everyone think? Is this a Legends or canon? Ryder?
I'm going Legends on this one.
Okay.
The lightsaber cutting down, that makes me think it might be a legend.
Okay, Jay?
I'm actually going to go with canon. There had to be some way to explain how they ended up on Hoth. So, yeah.
Okay. Taxus?
Could I hear the suggested retail price again, please?
$15.99.
You know what? I'm going to go with Ryder on this one.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Legend. Yeah.
I'm not going to reveal which one that is just yet, but I want to get your all's guesses as to what this is. So, Ryder, what do you think?
I want to say that it's something from the Legends of Luke Skywalker that just came out. I don't know for sure, but I could see some kids telling a story about that and embellishing a little bit of what happened when Luke got there.
Okay.
So you're saying? So are you saying that they're canon legends or legends?
I'm saying that some of the children in canon actually made up this story to make it a legend.
Okay.
Which in turn, I guess, could possibly make it canon as a legend. I don't know.
Carry that balance to page 2.
Yep.
And yes.
I'm gonna
so
submit my 941 FTD form right now, and Taxus will take a look.
Very good.
Jay, what do you think?
Oh my goodness, boy, oh boy. I'm thinking maybe from a comic. So that's where my canon comes from. But I don't know the name of the comic. I'm just guessing.
Robin
Complete
Williams?
guessing.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And Taxus, what do you say?
Man, I'm out. No clue.
Really?
No clue. I mean, I'm sure. I feel like it's Legends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we covered that.
But writer really has compelled me to think it's canonical legend in canon. But you know what? I mean, I have no clue where it's at. But you know, writer's probably right.
Well, if there was anyone who was going to get this, I thought it was going to be you, because this comes from the Galaxy Guide 3 for The Empire Strikes Back, which is the supplement to the Star Wars role-playing game.
Ooh.
Man.
Oh my goodness.
Which is Legends.
Which is Legends. But you're a big fan of that role-playing game. And when I stumbled upon this story, I put it in just for you.
Oh,
wow.
Man, that was great, Dennis. I have a lot of self-reflection to engage in later. That's a lot of introspection there. I'm sorry, Scoundrels, for letting you down.
I have to admit, I had heard this story before that Luke had stumbled upon Hoth and recommended it to the Rebellion. We did the Darth Bane trilogy as our Scoundrel Summer Book Club, and we all know Lord Hoth was the leader of the Army of Light there, for which this planet was named after. But I was not aware of the story of the young woman and her father. Now, this is where it gets even more bizarre. They weren't actually even people. These were replica droids of the Torlok family.
Oh.
Lex Hannon Torlok was a replica of a Imperial Moff. And then, of course, his daughter is the one that stumbled upon him. And they didn't want to be revealed to the Empire. So out of jealousy, the Moff tried to shoot Luke, got his daughter instead. And in a reaction, Luke cut down. His name is Lex Hannon.
Yeah.
So that's how that came to be.
Right.
But
man,
bizarre story to say the least.
Well, I should have known. It sounded familiar to me from the Mothman prophecy. No.
Okay. Did you have another one?
Oh boy, I have one.
Let's hear it
if you want. Sure. Okay, so this is more of a guessing game than a straight out, okay, Luke did this or whatever. Okay, you ready?
Sure.
Okay, so a young man feels an intense pull
Now I'm in
towards a particular force. He shows up in somewhat of a cave, or could it be a cage? When he gets there, he has but a meager weapon, which is presented to this force by saying he was armed only with this. The young man continues to have a conversation with this force, and he tries to bridge the gap between the force and himself. Somehow they are related, but this force does not want to admit it. Or does he not want to admit his former self? The young man is bound, but he's not bound in a submissive sense, but with his hands in front of him.
Well, that's a very creative telling.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so so is it Legends or canon?
I have to go fan myself out for a second.
Writer?
Coming down with the vapors.
I'm going with canon.
Be easy, really.
I'm going with canon, but I think Jay should narrate audiobooks from now on.
Hey, all right.
Taxus, are you going canon or Legends?
I'm going full on canon, man. Because after that, that's the only way I can.
Well, I'll make it a sweep and go with canon as well.
Okay. It's pretty obvious, obviously. So where is it from? It is canon. Where is it from?
It's from Endor. It's when Luke is surrendering to Vader. Vader is the force that you were mentioning. And he was being pulled towards him.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
That's exactly right.
And you did say, I think you said relate or relative, something in there to tie that together.
Okay. All right.
I'm doubling down on Ryder.
I concur.
And you are correct. It is the bridge scene from Return of the Jedi when Luke is drawn towards his father. That is my favorite scene in all of the trilogy, the original trilogy, I must say. I love that. When he said, "You were once Anakin Skywalker, my father."
That name no longer has any meaning to me.
Meaning for me, son. Yes. Oh, and I pulled both of those out purposely because they were Darth Vader and son. So there you have it.
That's awesome.
Good pairing.
I like it.
Hey.
All right. Taxus, did you have another one?
Yeah, I got a real spare one.
Okay.
It's really spare. Okay. It's really quick. I think it's actually kind of a limerick, but let's see. No, it's not a limerick. I'm wrong. Luke comes across a bounty hunter on Tatooine who, despite being an amateur warrior, defeats him in battle.
Yeah, talk about brevity.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what she said.
You were too funny.
Stop.
I mean, what?
Ryder, which side do you come down on this one?
I'm going canon on this one. I think I know what it is. I hope I know what it is. But I'm going canon.
Jay?
I'm going to say canon.
And I will concur on that as well.
Okay. Anybody want to guess or Ryder? Where?
I think it's from the comic where Luke is going back to Obi-Wan's old hut to get his journal, and Boba Fett is there.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm wrong, then you're wrong and I'm right. If that's the case.
Intriguing. Anybody else?
Jay, what do you think?
I like Ryder's answer better, but it also involves Boba Fett. But I was thinking Return of the Jedi on the skiff. Jabba's skiff.
I am going with Ryder on this one. That's what I immediately thought of based on the very brief description you gave us.
Well, I have to say, I'm really proud of Ryder finally catching up on this comic. And yes,
nice.
It is that.
Oh, man, I get cheap shots from my co-hosts and from you guys, too. I like it.
I learned it by watching them.
They say you only tease the ones you love, Ryder. So there you go.
So, Ryder, did you like that story with Luke versus Boba Fett?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I have a hard time with some of the stuff in the comics putting it as canon, so I read the comics just for fun. And I try not to try to fit them in like little puzzle pieces into all the stories. If they make sense, it's great. If there's a little bit of discrepancy, that's fine too. But yeah, I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. There's some things in the comics I don't love, but if you just read them for fun and don't take them too serious, I think they're pretty awesome.
There's always a little legend to truth.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Jay, did you get a chance to read this story?
No, I did not.
Okay. What did you think, Taxus?
Well, I thought it was kind of okay. I liked it because it was completely accidental, and anytime something like that happens, I just say "will of the Force," It was kind of though a really rapid 1-2 punch, especially after it's like, "Hey, everybody, issue 1 of the new Star Wars comic, Luke versus Vader."
Yeah.
And all we need is like the old 70s or 80s Marvel Comics cover saying, "Now, Luke, I realize who you are." And then Luke saying, "But I have to stand to fight you or my friends die," or something like that. So, yeah, I just thought it was a little rapid fire. They're throwing all the big guns at him,
Yeah.
Sure. What was neat about that issue was that at the same time that was happening in the Darth Vader series that was happening, that's where Vader hired Boba Fett to track down the pilot.
Cool. Yeah.
That destroyed the Death Star, and that's where Fett caught up with Luke. It was in Obi-Wan's hut out there on Tatooine, and he threw a flash grenade in there. So Luke was blind, and he ended up having to subconsciously pull on the Force to escape from Fett. I like the story quite a bit. I thought the Star Wars series started off very strong. It kind of it dipped at a few places, but that was one of the better stories in my opinion. All right. Well, I've got one last one left.
Ooh.
And here we go. Simmer down. After the Battle of Yavin, Luke was serving as an Alliance pilot when he sensed the Force emanating from a remote planet. After traveling to this planet with R2-D2, he finds the locals are reluctant to guide him through the jungle to the source of the Force presence he detected. However, he hires a hunting guide. Eventually, he and the guide part ways, and he discovers the ruins of an old Jedi temple. Inside, he has a vision of a demon attacking the temple and slaughtering the people who reside within. He also discovers some tools useful for training in the Force. Alas, his training doesn't last long as the Imperials discover him in the ruins. However, his hunting guide returns and helps him defeat the Imperials, but then turns on him in the hopes of looting the ruins for his own gain. Eventually, Luke, with an aid of a local girl, defeats the guide. Luke then leaves the ruins but vows to become a Jedi Knight, rebuild the Jedi Order, and return to the temple one day. So, is this a legend story or a canon story? Ryder?
I think it's a canon story.
And Jay?
I'm going to go legends on this one.
Okay. And Taxus?
I might be trying to noodle around here, but I'm going to say it's a canon story.
All right. So, Ryder, what story do you think this is?
I think it's Weapon of a Jedi, the novel that came out last year sometime, 2 years ago, something like that. I think that's what it's from. If it's not, it's pretty close.
Okay. Jay?
Shoot, I like Ryder's answer better. Now that I hear it, no, I was thinking about the Legends line that was the one before the New Jedi Order that had started back, a long time ago. But
the old Jedi Order?
No, I don't remember what the series was called, but it wasn't that. But that's what I'm going to stick to. I can't remember the name of the book or the series, but I'm sticking with it.
Okay. And Taxus?
I'm going to proudly proclaim that I have never read this book, but I know enough of it to where, I know exactly where you're coming from. This is Heir to the Jedi.
Oh. Heir to the Jedi.
Yes. So, and plus, you pointed out somebody that's a race that's duplicitous. I am a speciesist, and so I'm going to say these are the Deveronians.
So while Taxus is proud of his ignorance, I'm going to tell Ryder that he successfully identified this book.
There's always a little truth. There's always a little truth to ignorance.
I'll take it.
Okay.
Good job.
Yeah, thanks. That was Jason Fry's book from that came out right before The Force Awakens, where they did one for Luke, one for Han, and one for Leia, which was supposed to give clues as to The Force Awakens. And this was when he went to Deveron. So you got that part right. Taxus.
Okay. I must be confusing the books I never read.
He discovered the Jedi Temple, which was the temple that Savage Opress attacked in the Clone Wars. And killed the Jedi that resided within. This also featured Sarko Plank with much more exposure than he ever got in The Force Awakens. And that was his hunting guide who eventually turned on him. And then the young girl was a local Deveronian that kind of wanted to be his guide, but was prohibited from doing so.
See, my stereotypes are completely wrong, but I was right in doing them because I knew that was going to be a lesson to everybody listening.
So I'm just real quick. Let's go around the table here. What is everyone's favorite Luke Skywalker story? Ryder?
Well, favorite story,
or movie moment, or whatever you want.
Well, my favorite moment with him is probably in the throne room in Return of the Jedi with the Emperor and Vader.
Dang it!
But my favorite line is probably when he says, "You have failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi like my father before me," and I get chills when I watch that. And he and Palpatine are just staring down at each other. And I love that whole throne room scene where he and Palpatine are going back and forth, taking shots at each other. Vader's kind of he's a bystander for part of it. And I just love that scene. A close second is on Dagobah in The Empire Strikes Back after Yoda. Luke fails to get his X-Wing out. Yoda gets it out, and Luke says, "I don't believe it." And Yoda says, "That is why you fail." And I just love that because it shows that, faith or self-confidence, whatever you believe in, is important, and it can get you through some tough things and help you do things you didn't know you could do.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Jay, how about you?
Wow, that was awesome. That's a tough act to follow right there. Well, Luke is just one of those characters that it's so hard to pick out one favorite moment because his whole arc is such a growth, and it's just so great to see all the little moments. It's almost, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. But I have to say, one of my very favorite moments was when he pulled off Vader's helmet in Return of the Jedi and looked on his father's face for the first time, and just the way that his face just softened and changed as he saw Anakin's face, basically, and said, thought to himself, this is my father, and I have redeemed him, and he has redeemed himself. We work together to do this. And again, when he saw him as a Force ghost, and just that feeling, just knowing that, seeing that look on his face was just, for me, it was just pretty incredible.
Yeah. Also, he might have been thinking, wow, look at that jawline. I better grow a beard.
That could have been on his mind as well. You never know.
Taxus, how about you?
Okay, I'm going to start off with my close second. My close second is when he's standing on Octu.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So my first, though, has to be the Bespin duel. I mean, that's so great. I mean, I think one of the things that really sets Empire apart from the other movies to me, and this is probably why people really love Rogue One, is just because of the emotion behind it. And for some reason, man, Star Wars is great, and Return of the Jedi, I mean, it's all great, right? But the emotions and it through just all that fighting, I mean, if you just look at just how intense he was, I think that's the reason why that's my most favorite moment with Luke Skywalker, is the Bespin duel.
I'm in complete agreement with you there, Taxus. That is my favorite moment as well. The first time I saw that as a kid, it scared the daylights out of me. And I didn't even make it through. I had to leave the theater, and it wasn't until a couple weeks later that I got to go back and finish it. And that's because Vader was just, lunging out of the shadows at Luke and tossing him around with the Force. And that was just a very impactful scene. But that's a favorite. I also like the moment when Luke returns from the Lars family homestead after seeing that his aunt and uncle are died, and he's kind of having that accepting the call with Obi-Wan Kenobi that there's nothing left for him there, and so he wants to follow in his father's footsteps and become a Jedi. So that's another favorite in my mind. A favorite of mine. Well, Ryder, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining us for this. Where can everybody find you on the internet? And please tell us all about your podcast.
So you can find me. I'm usually on Twitter. That's the best place, and it's at Ryder Waldron DDS. We have a podcast called Idiots Array that I do with Alan Zog and Mark Suter, and we break down Star Wars. We have different topics every couple of weeks, and we have a lot of fun doing it. It's on makingstarwars.net or on iTunes, on Libsyn. You can follow us on Twitter also at Idiots Array Pod, and I also write a monthly blog for Coffee with Kenobi.
Coffee with Kenobi.
All right. Well, again, thanks a lot for joining us, and we will be looking for you on Idiots Array.
Oh, man, I had a lot of fun. I appreciate you guys having me on. This was great.
Anytime, pal.
A lot of fun. Absolutely. It's time for
Silence Fools.
Okay, so we received an email from a fellow Retro Zapper. Taxus, would you do the honors and read this?
Sure, Dennis. So, this is what he has to say. I'm sure you'd have seen this, but for next month's Sky Stalking, Jeremy Bullock is going to be here in Chicagoland at Days of the Dead, in costume and taking photos. Just thought I'd pass it along. Mike Harris. And Mike, you've been doing some wonderful work. I mean, he's consistently writing some great articles for RetroZap.com, and I hope everybody's going out there and checking out Mike's stuff.
Oh yeah, he's doing a great job.
Plus, he was on our clip show.
That's true. He was. Well, thanks for the heads up, Mike. We appreciate that.
Yeah, makes my job easier.
Mm-hmm. So with this being a light week, where listener feedback is concerned, I thought I would take this opportunity to highlight a few things going on with some of our friends in the Star Wars community. First, as many are aware, Mark Newbold recently left Jedi News. On October 31st, he launched his new website, Fanthetrax. Mark has created another home for Star Wars content, discussion, and news. Check them out at fanthetrax.com, and I highly recommend this one. It looks fantastic. It's got a great layout, and it's all the wonderful content that you're used to from Mark Newbold that he did on Jedi News, which is still up and running. So second, after a hiatus, our friend Tim McMahon is back with a new episodes of Less Than 12 Parsecs, the fastest podcast in the galaxy. You can find the website at 12parsecspodcast.com, and the show is available on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and other places you find your shows. So it's great to have Tim back. I've missed his show. You and I actually did some of the last shows that he had before the hiatus started. You did the top 5 blasters or weapons that you liked, and I did the segment about Star Wars comics and how they're kind of filling up that period between New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back. So go check those out. Mm-hmm. And finally, our loyal listener, Amy Wishman-Nayland, has a podcast of her own. She and Charlotte Arity, Lynn Walker, Natalie, I don't have a last name for, and Sarah Dempster recently launched this monthly podcast devoted to the heroine of the prequels on the Unmistakably Star Wars Network, and that's the Padme cast. Mm-hmm. So give them a listen as well.
Oh, good for them. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was fantastic. So they'll be around. I guess they're going to be alternating the hosts on a monthly basis and covering all things Padme Amidala.
Yeah, it's a cool, fun concept.
All right. Well, that will do it for Silence Fools. Scoundrels, we like to hear from you. So send in your emails to sqpod@retrozap.com. I don't know about you, but I had a great time talking Luke Skywalker with Ryder from the It's Array show this week. So before we go, do either of you have anything for our Scoundrels to look forward to?
Well, for me, as usual, you can find me on coffeewithkenobi.com, and my blogs drop on the 18th of every other month, and I will be having some new products to review for my Core Worlds Couture fashion review blog. So that's what I have.
Awesome. And, you can find me over emceeing the show, The Geek Supreme, on the Assembly Geeks Network with Scott Murray, Jeff McGee, and Regina Davis, where it's kind of a fun take on sort of a topical geek discussion show with a little, game show flair. So go check us out. It drops every Tuesday.
And I have some recent comic reviews on RetroZap, including Mace Windu number 3 and Darth Vader number 7. Just check out the comic commentary section under articles to find them. And then, of course, my wife Beth and I have released additional episodes of Warp Trails covering the most recent episodes of Star Trek Discovery. That is a RetroZap podcast feed exclusive, so look for it on iTunes under RetroZap or head over to retrozap.com.
And well done, I might add.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Scoundrels, thank you for listening and for your support. If you've enjoyed the show, this has been Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels, and we would love a review wherever you listen to your podcast, especially iTunes, which is also known as Apple Podcasts. Did you know you can write a podcast review directly from Apple's podcast app now? Well, you can. And if that is your podcatcher, it is easier than ever to leave a review. So please head on over there and do that. On the other hand, if you didn't care for this, then we request you not chop off our dominant hands in a lightsaber duel. In all seriousness, we appreciate it anytime you share our show posts on Twitter and Facebook. Please let others know that you are listening. Thanks to all of our dedicated Scoundrels that take the time to share our show with others.
We are on social media. Starship, Sabers, and Scoundrels can be followed on Twitter and Instagram at @SCubedPod, and liked on Facebook, where we are facebook.com/SCubedPod. If you want to follow Darth Taxus on Twitter, he is at Darth Taxus. Dennis is at DJKVER2, and I am at Joyce Krebs. In addition to social media, you can reach us by email at scubedpod@retrozap.com. We would love to hear what your favorite Luke Skywalker stories are and your thoughts on this week's episodes of Rebels. But if you have anything else that is on your mind, Star Wars related or not, then let us know. The best emails, well, almost all emails, end up in Silence Fools. Again, that email address is scubedpod@retrozap.com.
As always, we are honored to be part of the RetroZap.com podcast network. Did you know that RetroZap is home to 21 podcasts? What? That's almost too many to count. Please check out RetroZap for other great shows, including The Animanicast, Brews and Blasters, Dunecast, Skywalking Through Neverland, and Terrigen Dreams, just to name a few. Also be sure to check out our Scoundrels t-shirts on tpublic.com. Just go to tpublic.com/user/scubedpod or just search for us on the site. They're perfect for city council meetings and third dates.
Okay, well, thanks to Aaron Lay for our show logos, and to James Volpe and the Sky Geek for our The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly show logo. And a special thanks to Ryder Waldron for joining us for our Luke Skywalker conversation.
Absolutely. And here is our disclaimer. Starship, Sabers, and Scoundrels is not endorsed, affiliated with, or sponsored by Lucasfilm Limited and or Disney. This show is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. All characters, music, and sounds are the intellectual property of their respective copyright holders. All else is the intellectual property of Starship, Sabers, and Scoundrels unless otherwise indicated.
Okay, guys, any final thoughts?
Aren't you going to say anything, Taxus?
I'll do it later.
Well, that'll do it for episode 41 of Starship, Sabers, and Scoundrels. As always, thanks for listening and joining us this week. We'll catch up with you next time, and until then, may the Force be with you.
Maybe not. Yeah, and as always, gonna start that over.
Same stuff.
And again.
Wow.
It's the same thing with Trip.
Here we go. I'm a leaf in the wind.